The sun was rising behind thick smog clouds, casting a hazy orange hue over the edge of downtown. The streets were already noisy. Delivery trucks grumbled, horns honked, and commuters rushed by without so much as a glance to their left or right. No one ever looked down, which was good for her, because Mira Cole, 12 years old and thin as a wire hanger, crouched behind the gas station dumpsters, wrapping her arms around her knees, waiting for the clerk to get distracted. She hadn't eaten since Tuesday. It was Friday. Her hoodie was damp with the sweat and dew of a long night curled under cardboard. Her jeans were stiff with grime and old ketchup stains. Her sneakers, if you could call the duct-taped remains on her feet sneakers, squeaked slightly when she moved. But they were the only things she had left from her mother. Correction, the only physical things. The memories, well, those came and went. Her stomach groaned as she rose and tiptoed to the gas station's restroom door. The bell above the shop rang as someone left, and the cashier turned to wipe down the counter. Perfect. She pushed the door open quietly, slid inside, and locked the stall behind her. Inside the toilet tank, Mira kept an old plastic cup hidden behind the black floater. She'd found it in a dumpster 3 weeks ago, rinsed it the best she could, and now guarded it like treasure. She climbed carefully onto the toilet seat, balancing like a cat, and removed the tank lid. Still clear, she whispered to herself. And then, just as she scooped the lukewarm water into her cup and brought it to her lips, the door opened. Footsteps. Male. Dress shoes. She froze. Her heart pounded in her chest like it wanted out. She didn't breathe. The footsteps paused outside her stall. Then, gently, quietly, a voice. Are you okay in there? She froze, too afraid to answer. Then, with no better choice, she slowly opened the stall door. Her eyes met his, and the entire world shifted. Julian Rusk, 35, founder of one of the world's fastest-growing AI companies, stood in the doorway of the bathroom, looking like he'd just walked off a fashion magazine cover. Charcoal slacks, white button-up, no tie, slight stubble, messy, expensive-looking hair. His eyes were sharp, too sharp for someone who just wanted gas and coffee. Mira stood like a statue, the cup still in her hand. I'm not stealing, she said quickly. I'm just drinking water. I'm not hurting anyone. He stared at her, stunned, not at what she said, but at her face. Pale, thin, sunken cheeks, eyes too old for her age, and familiar. What's your name? Why? You gonna call someone? He shook his head. No. I wasn't expecting to see anyone here. I thought I saw, he trailed off. Mira stepped back. I'm not going back to a shelter. Last one locked me in a closet with 3 boys. One of them tried, she paused. Never mind. I don't need help. I'm fine. Julian's stomach twisted. You're not fine, he said gently. You're drinking toilet water. She looked down. It's cleaner than the sink. The tap's got rust in it. He ran a hand over his mouth, speechless. How long have you been out here? I don't know. What day is it? Friday. She blinked slowly. Then, a week? Maybe 2. Doesn't matter. Something broke in him. Not pity, recognition. She looked like someone he once knew. Someone he had lost. Do you have anyone? He asked. I had a mom. She died. And your dad? She scoffed. Don't know. Don't care. If he wanted me, he'd be here. Julian knelt down, bringing himself to her level. You remind me of someone I once knew, he said softly. She used to tell me that. About her dad. She sounds smart. She was. Her name was Anna. Myra's hand clenched around the cup. That name. That was her mother's name. Julian took Mira out to his car. A sleek, matte gray electric sedan that practically glowed against the cracked pavement. Mira eyed it warily, refusing to sit until he opened the window and kept the door unlocked. You gonna traffic me? She asked bluntly. He blinked. What? Sorry. Just, you can't be too careful. No, he said. You can't. And no, I'm not going to traffic you. Just want to get you something warm. He drove to a nearby diner and ordered scrambled eggs, pancakes, and hot chocolate. Mira stared at the food like it was a test. You sure this is for me? All yours. She devoured it in minutes, barely chewing. Julian watched her in silence. When she finished, he slid a napkin over to her. You don't owe me anything, he said. But I need to ask you something. She looked up, crumbs on her chin. Your mom, Anna, what did she look like? Mira narrowed her eyes. Why? Because I knew someone named Anna. And you look like her. Everybody says I look like her. Except the ones who say I look like trash. You don't. His voice was steady. You look like someone I lost. There was a pause. Did you know her? Mira asked. Like, were you friends? Julian nodded slowly. Something like that. She wiped her mouth. Then why weren't you there when she died? They sat in silence for a long time after that. Julian drove her to his penthouse suite in the city, a glass tower overlooking the skyline. Myra's eyes widened, but she didn't say a word. Inside, everything smelled like money, leather, citrus, and order. You can sleep here tonight, Julian said. I'll stay in the guest room. You can have the couch or the bed, your choice. What's the catch? No catch. No experiments? No cameras? No weird stuff. He shook his head. Just sleep. You're safe here. She stared at him. Nobody's safe anywhere. But she went to bed anyway. That night, Julian opened his laptop and pulled up a file he hadn't opened in 11 years. A file named Anna. Inside were old pictures, emails, a scanned letter. In one photo, Anna stood on a pier, smiling. Behind her, in the distance, was a tattoo on her wrist, a tiny sun with a crack through it. He remembered it well. Earlier that day, when Mira had pushed up her sleeve to drink water, he saw the same tattoo, only smaller, like a birthmark. Julian's hands trembled. My God, he whispered. Is she mine? The chapter ends with Julian closing the laptop, his reflection staring back at him in the black screen. Eyes full of guilt, hope, and something he hadn't felt in a long time. Purpose. The early morning light poured through the wall-to-ceiling windows of Julian Rusk's penthouse, casting gold over the polished marble floors. The city buzzed below, but inside, it was silent, eerily so. Mira stood barefoot on the edge of the living room rug, staring at a bowl of cereal she didn't know if she was allowed to eat. Everything in the place looked too clean. Too untouched, like it had never belonged to anyone real. She reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out the old photo she kept folded in four. It was faded, but her mother's eyes still glowed from the paper. She whispered, You always said people wear masks. But his mask, I can't read it. Behind her, a door creaked. Julian emerged, dressed casually this time. No suit, no expensive cologne. Just sweatpants and a hoodie. He looked more human, more tired. You can eat that, he said gently. I bought it for you. Mira shrugged. Didn't want to assume. People get weird about their stuff. Julian chuckled softly. You're not people, I'm something else. He sat across from her at the dining table. Do you always talk like that? Like what? Like you're older than me. She didn't answer. After a pause, Julian asked, Did your mom ever talk about me? Mira stopped chewing. She talked about a guy named Jay. Said he broke her heart, but saved it first. Julian stared at her. Did she ever say why she left? Mira nodded slowly. She said you had dreams bigger than she could fit into. She didn't want to hold you back. But she watched every interview you ever gave. Even when we were in shelters, she'd find a way to stream them on her phone. Julian's throat tightened. She said you had eyes like the ocean before a storm. I didn't know what that meant until I met you. He looked down, fingers tightening around his coffee mug. She died 3 years ago. I didn't even know she had a daughter. Mira looked at him with an expression too heavy for someone her age. She didn't know she was dying. It just happened. I'm sorry. Don't be. I think the universe has a weird way of bringing people together when it's too late. He nodded, silent. Later that afternoon, Mira wandered into Julian's home office. It wasn't locked. Curiosity wasn't something she could afford on the streets, but in this fortress of glass and warmth, It felt aloud. She ran her fingers over the edge of a leather-bound book. She noticed the laptop still open on the desk. On the screen, an old scanned photo. Her heart stopped. It was her mom, Anna. The same picture from her pocket, but untouched. New. Sharp. Next to it, a document titled Paternity Test Request. Myra's breath caught in her throat. "What is this?" she whispered. Behind her, Julian's voice answered. "I was going to tell you." Mira spun. "You think I'm your kid?" "No," he said. "I know you're my kid." He stepped forward, showing her a necklace, a sun with a crack through it. "She gave me this the last night I saw her. I recognized the tattoo on your arm." Mira blinked, stepping backward. Her voice shook. "Why didn't you come find us? Why didn't you look?" "I did. For years. But your mom, she didn't want to be found. I thought maybe I hurt her, or scared her off. I didn't even know she was pregnant." "She wasn't scared," Mira whispered. "She was protecting you." Silence stretched between them. "I'm not some project," Mira said. "You don't have to feel guilty." Julian walked over and knelt. "You're not a project, Mira. You're a part of me I didn't know existed. And now that I do, I'm not going anywhere." She stared at him, and for the first time since she was 8 years old, she believed someone. Over the next few days, Julian introduced Mira to a new world. Warm clothes, hot showers, proper meals. They played video games, watched old movies. He even made pancakes, badly. "Stick to software," Mira teased as she scraped the burned edge of a pancake with her fork. He laughed. Noted. But beneath the smiles, something still loomed. Julian scheduled the DNA test without telling her the results until the day the envelope arrived. He held it like it was radioactive. "You ready?" Mira nodded, though her hands were trembling. He opened it slowly. "Read it." Then looked at her. "It's official." His voice cracked. "You're mine." Mira exhaled, sharp and shaky. "I don't know how to be anyone's kid anymore." Julian pulled her into a hug. "And I don't know how to be anyone's dad. So let's figure it out together." But peace never lasts. 3 days later, a woman showed up at the penthouse lobby. Well-dressed. Sharp features. Expensive heels. "I'm her aunt," the woman said to the receptionist. "And I want custody." Julian met her downstairs. Mira refused to come out. "You're Anna's sister?" Julian asked, wary. "Half-sister," she clarified. "We weren't close, but she named me legal guardian if anything happened." 3 years late, aren't you? "I didn't know she died until recently. I have rights. And I don't trust billionaires with runaway girls." "She's a meal ticket, isn't she?" Julian's hands balled into fists. "She's my daughter. We'll see what the court says." She walked away like she'd already won. That night, Julian sat beside Mira on the balcony. "We might have a fight coming," he said. "I don't care where I live," Mira muttered. "I've been on my own before." "You're not on your own anymore." The courtroom smelled like polished wood and old tension. The kind of place where lives were rewritten with signatures, not stories. 12-year-old Mira Cole sat stiffly on the long bench beside Julian Rusk, the billionaire CEO who had found her drinking from a toilet tank just 3 weeks ago. Her hand trembled in his, but she held her head high. Across the room sat Diana, her so-called aunt, with her lips curled in courtroom confidence and a $1,000 scarf tossed over her shoulder like a victory flag. She didn't look at Mira. Not once. The judge, a tired, gray-haired man with spectacles sliding down his nose, called the court to order. "We're here today to determine permanent custody of minor Mira Cole. The petitioner, Ms. Diana Price, claims to be the child's legal next of kin. The respondent, Mr. Julian Rusk, is contesting custody, stating a paternal relationship. The court has received a DNA confirmation. However, the issue remains." He glanced over his glasses. "Is he fit to be her father?" Julian's lawyer stood, sharp and ready. "Your Honor, I'd like to call Mr. Rusk to the stand." Julian took the stand, confident on the outside, but inside, he was shaking. Not because he feared Diana, but because he feared failing Mira again. Mr. Rusk, the lawyer began. Please describe how you met Mira. Julian looked to Mira, then back at the court. I found her in a gas station restroom. She was drinking water from the tank of a toilet. A gasp echoed from the back of the room. Did you know she was your daughter at the time?
No.
But the moment I saw her eyes, I saw Anna, her mother, the woman I spent years searching for after she disappeared. Did you ever speak with Anna after her disappearance? Julian shook his head.
No.
Until I met Mira, I didn't even know Anna had a child. And since then, I've tried to make up for lost time. I don't want to erase her past. I want to build her future. The judge scribbled a note. Diana's lawyer rose for cross-examination. Mr. Rusk, would you say your net worth has increased due to the press coverage surrounding this situation? Julian raised an eyebrow. I didn't gain anything from this, except a daughter. And I'd trade every dollar I have to keep her safe. So, you claim you're not using her to build your image? I found her behind a dumpster, not at a photo shoot. The courtroom buzzed with murmurs. Outside the courtroom, reporters hovered like vultures. Inside, it was Myra's turn. The bailiff called her forward. The judge leaned in gently. Mira, you don't have to speak if you don't want to. She looked up, voice quiet but clear. I do. Everyone leaned forward. She stepped into the center of the courtroom. I don't remember much about my mom, but I remember her laugh. I remember she loved sunflower seeds and sad songs. She told me stories every night about a man named Jay, said he had eyes like stormy oceans, said he was the only one who saw her. She paused, voice shaking. When she died, I waited. I thought maybe he'd show up. He didn't. So I thought maybe he didn't care. But now I know. She turned to Julian. He just didn't know. A single tear fell. He found me when I had nothing, not even clean water. And he didn't run. He stayed. He fed me. He listened. And he never once made me feel like a problem. Her voice hardened. You want to know if he's fit to be my father? She looked the judge in the eye. He already is. Silence. Then the judge nodded slowly. Thank you, Mira. That was very brave. Later that afternoon, courthouse steps. Julian and Mira stepped out into a sea of flashing cameras. A reporter shoved a mic in Myra's face. Mira, what would you say to the people who think you're just a charity case? She smiled. It wasn't bitter. It wasn't angry. It was quiet strength. They don't know me, but he did, even when I didn't know myself. Julian wrapped an arm around her shoulder and guided her past the noise. You did good in there, he whispered. You too. I didn't think CEOs cried.
He laughed.
Don't tell anyone. 2 months later, a rooftop gala. The city skyline glittered in the background. Hundreds of guests in gowns and tuxedos sipped champagne and applauded as Julian took the stage with Mira by his side. Tonight, he began, isn't about tech, or money, or power. It's about perspective. I found my daughter by accident. But what I've learned is no child should have to depend on accidents to be rescued. He turned to Mira. She reminded me of what I forgot. People matter more than profits. He gestured behind him, revealing a new logo on a screen. The Anna Foundation, for Invisible Children. The crowd roared. Mira sat on the edge of the stage, sipping orange juice in a champagne flute. You know, she said, I used to dream of getting adopted. But not like this. I thought it would be boring. Julian laughed. Sorry I ruined boring. She looked at him seriously. Thank you for not looking away that day. Thank you for not running. They sat quietly, watching the lights of the city flicker like stars they could finally reach. A young girl, dirty, skinny, scared, hovers near the same bathroom Mira once used. Mira, now dressed in clean jeans and a sunflower hoodie, steps out of a sleek black SUV. She walks into the restroom, finds the girl trembling with a plastic bottle under the sink. Hey, Mira says softly, kneeling. You hungry? The girl nods. Mira offers her hand. Come on. I know someone who makes terrible pancakes. They walk out together. As the car drives off into the city lights, the screen fades to black.